2 Samuel chapter 11 tonight. We left off 2 weeks ago in the midst of David is in hot water. He has slept with another man's wife. She has conceived, and the message has come that she is with child. And so David has sent message to Joab. Joab and the army are off in Rabbah, according to verse 1, laying siege to a certain place. And so David has sent a message to Joab saying, if you could please, send Uriah back home for a little bit. I'd like to talk to him. And so Uriah has come back, and it's a sad scene, of course. Needless to say. So, verse 7, when Uriah had come to him, David asked how Joab was doing, and how the people were doing, and how the war prospered. David said to Uriah, go down to your house and wash your feet. So Uriah departed from the king's house, and a gift of food from the king followed him. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and did not go down to his house. So when they told David, saying Uriah did not go down to his house, David said to Uriah, did you not come from a journey? Why did you not go down to your house? And Uriah said to David, the ark in Israel and Judah are dwelling in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go to my house to eat and drink and to lie with my wife? As you live and as your soul lives, I will not do this thing. Then David said to Uriah, wait here today also, and tomorrow I will let you depart. So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. Now when David called him, he ate and drank before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but he did not go to his house. And we'll pause there. You know what David wants Uriah to do. And you can tell here, the whole thing starts with, where's David supposed to be?
Fighting the war.
He's supposed to be with his troops. So he's neglecting his duties. And what is he encouraging Uriah to do? Neglect his duties. And what does Uriah not want to do? It's like, I don't want to neglect my duties. Like, I'm a soldier. I'm one of your however many mighty men. It's like, this is my job. And so Uriah says what he says. It's like, Israel and Judah are dwelling in tents. My lord Joab, they're camped in the open field. Shall I go to my house and eat and drink and lie with my wife? He may be saying, it's like, it's not time for me to be comfortable. This is the time we are engaged in a siege. I should not be comfortable, but also I was thinking about that business when he says Joab and the army, they are camped in open fields. And I wonder if part of that is, and I know they're laying siege to the city, but if you're in open fields, what are you? It's like you're somewhat exposed if anything were to happen. And it's like, I know the city is sieged up right now, so you're hoping that they stay closed up. But if anything were to happen, they're in the open fields. And so it's like, it's not time for me to be comfortable. And we're somewhat exposed because we're laying siege to this place. And so, no, I'm not going to do what you suggest. It's not time for me to go home. It's not time for me to lay with my wife. Nope, I need to get back. And of course, that's exactly what David does not. David wants him to go home. So he comes up with plan, whatever this is now, B, C, D. And it's like, well, he says, wait here today also, and tomorrow I'll let you depart. So what does David do at that point? When Uriah departs, and here's my point, David is, he's meditating on it, right? The next day. Now when David called him, right, Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. Now when David called him, Uriah says, it's like, no, it's not time for me to go home. So David's like, how am I going to get him to go home? And so my point once again, and we kind of touched on it Sunday too, this is not just a moment of weakness. You know, even in our court system, there is a difference if someone kills someone in the heat of the moment, that's one thing. But if it's premeditated murder, that's something else. And the more this goes on, it's like David is, granted, he's shooting from the hip, but these things are being thought about. And David's trying to figure a way out. I was thinking actually before coming over, and I didn't have time to look it up. I'm glad that David did not live today. Because today, what would he have done?
Probably not here.
Well, probably. What would he have done today? You get someone, I know someone, preacher's kid down in Arkansas, gets a gal pregnant. Big congregation, gonna be a big time scandal. And guess what his mother encourages him and advises him to do? Get an abortion. Get an abortion. He does not. That happened in the church. Sad. So that's why I say if David was living today, there's a very easy way to get rid of your problem. It's like Bathsheba, just go to Planned Parenthood, pay the $100 and get it done. I don't know if they had abortion back then or not in some sort of rudimentary way. It would not surprise me if they did. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't have time to look it up. But I'm thankful that David didn't live today, because David's just trying to get rid of his problem. And he's not above, now we see what, eventually we know what's gonna happen. He's gonna kill somebody because of this. So anyway, I was just thinking about that idea. So David, all along, as now Uriah, you have the whole drunkenness, we'll talk about that here in a second. I wanted you to think about just hiding, because that's what David's trying to do. He's trying to hide his sin. And I wanted you to just think about, who are the hiders in Scripture? Who all in Scripture tried to hide sin? And there's more than one. Cain, right? Where's your brother at?
Brother's
I don't know. I wonder what he did with the body. Don't know. But all we know is, am I my brother's keeper? Even before Cain, Adam and Eve, how did they try to hide?
behind each other.
And it's like, we'll sew together fig leaves and we'll hide in the trees.
And when confronted, it was,
Yeah.
she gave me the apple.
Right. And so it is, you want to say natural, but it's unnatural to try to hide things from God. But people try to hide things from God, and we try. It's like, we do not want to be busted. David does not want to be busted with this. He's trying to conceal it. And so he keeps trying to hide. There's other hiders as well. Go ahead, Michael.
I think really we look at it, sin, we believe with sin that we can, as you say, get away with hiding it from God, because we're not to blame. It wasn't my fault.
So why do you hide then?
Why do you hide?
Why is David trying to hide all this?
He's the king.
It's because he knows it's his fault.
Right.
He's trying to play it off on Uriah. But it's like, this is like another hider is Achan. Why does Achan hide it in his tent? And it's like, it's your stuff. You gonna hide it in someone else's tent, or risk them finding it? It's like, no, we're gonna steal that Babylonian garment, we're gonna steal the gold, and we're gonna hide it. It's like, and he gets found out. Another hider, somewhat, it's a little different, is Jonah. Goes running for the hills, or in this case, running for the waves. And it's just a sad thing. In the New Testament, you could talk about Ananias and Sapphira, and they were trying to hide what they had done. And ultimately, who would they lie to?
To God.
It's like, you've lied to the Lord, you've lied to the Holy Spirit, that's who you've lied to. And there's probably others.
Elijah?
Elijah, his is a little different. There are examples of those who run for the hills. And actually, I put Elijah in a very different category because Elijah ran to Sinai, ran to Mount Horeb. And it's like, it's interesting to run there. It's like you're gonna run to the mountain of God all the way down around, at first, remember when what is he like? He's at first when the Lord says, the journey's too great for you, eat this, drink a little, and then go on that. And then he goes on to Horeb. But nonetheless, when the Lord catches up with him and says, Elijah, what are you doing? And Elijah says what he says, what's the Lord's next response? Go back. And he goes back, and anyway, mayhem ensues, if you're familiar with that account. But anyway, I was just thinking about different hiders. And it's like, here David is, and he's just trying to do everything he can to hide it, and he's not done yet. And so he gets Uriah drunk. The next day, he ate and drank before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening, he went out to lie on his bed with servants of the Lord, but he did not go down to his house. And David thought, surely, if I can get him schnockered, surely he'll go home to his wife. Surely. And the thing about alcohol is, what does alcohol do?
To stimulant.
It's just leave.
Alcohol's not a stimulant.
It's not a,
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a different.
You wanna go home and be amorous with your wife.
Inhibitions are hindered.
Your inhibitions are hindered. It pulls down a veil. Well, you pull down a veil in front of Uriah, and what do you got? He's the same. He's not playing the hypocrite. If he actually really wanted to go home when he was drunk, if he really wanted to go home and then got drunk, what may he have done? If his inhibitions are lowered, then he would have perhaps gone home. But it's like here, David is like, well, surely when his defenses are lowered, he'll go home. And what's Uriah do? Nope. Not doing it. And so at evening he goes out to lie on his bed with the servants of the Lord, but he does not go down to his house. And you see his character. And it's like he's not going to do it. And so, yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
I was gonna say, does that kind of make Uriah not obedient to David's command? Go down. He told him, go down to your house.
On a certain level, you got to know when
You-
to
yeah.
know when to say yes, sir, and you got to know when to say no, sir. You know.
I was gonna say, I don't know how many soldiers
Right.
in Joab's
Right.
army would do what Uriah did.
Right.
He's like
Not many.
1 in a million or whatever. He's got
So
character.
that's a very good point,
Character.
because what we know about Uriah is he's a Hittite. And so what that means is, you would have had those who were effectively drafted into the army. It's like, you don't have much choice when you're drafted. It's like, okay, you're fighting age, what do you gotta do? Out you go. Well, that's not Uriah. Uriah's, what is Uriah when it comes to being a soldier?
He's one of the 37.
And the only way he's there, if he's a Hittite, which he is, it's like he chose this. He wasn't conscripted, he chose this. And so, to your point about, if you're a draftee, and you're like, man, I just want to go home. I just want to go home to my wife. I'm done with this fight, I just want to go home. You would go home. But Uriah takes this very seriously. And he's like, he's one of the mighty men, and he volunteered for this. And David wants him to neglect his duty. And this whole time, I don't know what's going on in his head. Because it's like, why do you keep wanting me to go home? I need to go back to the front. I don't know what's going through Joab's mind. It's like, why are you taking one of my main soldiers away from me? We need all hands on deck. Why are you doing this? And I just wonder what's going on in their minds. Go ahead, Rudy.
Well, Joab finds out, because David writes him a letter and sends it with Uriah, telling him to put him in the front so that he gets whacked.
And so my question is, does David say why? And it doesn't say he did.
Oh, he doesn't say why, but he sends this letter to
Right,
to
the
Joab
commander.
to put him, why would you want one of your best put in the front? There's a reason. It's open for
So
speculation.
if you're Joab, what's your question?
You go, yes, sir, you know, and do it, but
You better know when to say no. Because Joab's not the only one who's gonna die. There's gonna be other soldiers who die. And we'll talk more about Joab as
And
we
he's-
go on.
And Joab's gotta tell those other men too,
Right, right.
back out.
He's gotta give the order. And they obey the order.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that here in a second too, because there's something about that kind of makes you question something. Anyway, we'll talk more about it here in a second. So, anyway, it's sad to see as this progression happens, it's sad to see the sins multiply. Because it all starts where? It starts with lust, right? Goes from lust, and then it's adultery. And then it's, and it just keeps snowballing. And it's like, it's not good, but that's what happens. That's what happens when sin is not addressed. A little leaven does what? Leaven's the whole lump, and it's like, it's that way within our lives. It's that way, in the congregation, and it's like sin is snowballing. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, really, we look at the Bible, and we look at how God works, okay? We look at Job in particular. Okay, it's very possible here that Satan or Lucifer appeared before God and said, hey, I can get David or whatever it may be. See, we don't know if the temptation came in with him being not going to battle. I mean, anything is possible.
Do me a favor. Remind me of that next week.
Okay,
Okay? And I'm being for real.
okay.
Remind me of that, because some of the commentaries make that point about the parable that Nathan tells. I'll go and I'll get into next week's early.
Okay.
Because in Nathan's parable, there's a rich man and there's a poor man.
Right.
And it's like, okay, there's just two parties. There's a third party. It says, and a traveler came to the rich man. And the question is, well, who's that traveler? You remember what the devil tells the Lord in Job? The Lord says, where have you been? And what's the devil say? From going hither and yon and to and fro on the earth. And that it's like, this is how
Satan works.
This is how Satan works. What does the Lord say to Peter? We're about to that point. Satan has asked to sift you like wheat. It's like, that's what the devil wants. It's like, the devil's not really looking for the Ammonites.
No.
He's got them in his back pocket. If he could get the man after God's own heart, now he's talking. And so it's a valid point. Anyway, like I said, we may explore that more with the parable. Okay, so now Uriah it's like he's not going home. So, verse 14, in the morning it happened that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter saying, set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle and retreat from him, that he may be struck down and die. So it was, while Joab besieged the city, that he assigned Uriah to the place where he knew there were valiant men. Then the men of the city came out and fought with Joab, and some of the people of the servants of David fell, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war, and charged the messengers, saying, when you have finished telling the matters of the war to the king, if it happens that the king's wrath rises, and he says to you, why did you approach so near to the city when you fought? Did you not know that they would shoot from the wall? Who struck Abimelech, the son of Jerubesheth? Was it not a woman who cast a piece of millstone on him from the wall so that he died in Thebez? Why did you go so near the wall? Then you shall say, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So the messenger went and came and told David all that Joab had sent to him. Let's pause there. So Uriah takes his own death warrant with him, right? He carries the letter to Joab. And it's just a sad thing because Uriah is an honorable man. And it's just horrible that this is happening. How many innocent people are going to end up dying by the end of this? It's like, you're going to have Uriah, you're going to have these other soldiers, you're going to have the child. And it's like, this is what happens. The innocent perish. Just make the point in the handout. We should be thankful that death is not the end and justice will be served eventually. And it's in the Lord's hands. It's like, it's not right that the innocent should perish. The ultimate example of the innocent perishing is, of course, Jesus. It's like the innocent are dying because of someone else's sin, or in this case, sins. Go ahead, Mike.
And even you look at David, he himself, he lost out, couldn't go into, he couldn't build a temple for God, which is what he wanted to do,
And I will say that that command has already been given.
Right,
But what the Lord is about to say is the sword's never going to depart from your house.
Exactly.
You thought you could do this. You thought you were going to have time to build me a house. No, you're going to be occupied.
Sure.
We'll talk more about that next week too. So, what is David still doing with his sin?
Compounding it.
He's still trying to hide it.
Hide it, right.
He's still trying to hide it. And it's like, I try to get you to go home to your wife and sleep with her to hide the sin. You didn't do that. And so, the sad thing is, he's king. What could he have done? How could he have killed Uriah? How has every king down through the ages dealt with their enemies? Off with their heads. David could have just given the command, strike him down. Why doesn't David do that? No, he wants it to look like an accident. He wants it to look a certain way. He doesn't want it to look like he killed him. He's still trying to hide it.
Covering his sin.
That's what he's still trying to do. That's the game he's playing. And so the message gets to Joab, set Uriah in the forefront. Now the business that I wanted to consider is set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, retreat from him. Okay, so that's the command, so that he may be struck down and die. So while Joab is besieging the city, he assigned Uriah to a place where he knew there were valiant men. The commentators, because Joab thinks this whole thing is abominable. Joab does not like this command. He doesn't like the order. It talks about that down at, where does it say that Joab actually says he thought it was abominable? Let's see. Oh, I thought it actually said it somewhere. He's laying the guilt trip. I thought it actually said, I must be thinking of a different passage. When David says down in verse 25, do not let this thing displease you, Joab was displeased. And it's like, what commander would not be displeased? So anyway, so the commentators actually think the command was put him in the forefront in the hottest battle and retreat from him. Joab puts him in a place where he knew there were valiant men. Now, the commentators think that Joab is trying to hedge. That he's not putting him, if you want Uriah dead, who would you put him with? Would you put him with your most valiant men? No, you put him with the worst soldiers. Right? So the commentators are of the opinion that perhaps putting him with the valiant men, maybe something good would happen. I don't know if that's how I don't know about that. Or if it's saying he put him with the most valiant men because he knew they would obey this order. Because Uriah is dead. And it's like he's putting him with trusted soldiers. So you can stew on that, and I'm not sure. They obey the command. Or at least the men of the city came out and followed Joab, and some of the people of the servants fell. Uriah the Hittite died also. Don't know for sure. Because it doesn't even say, all it says is Uriah died. They got close, and Uriah died. And other people died too. So it doesn't say that they actually went through and retreated away from Uriah like David wanted them to. It may have been that just when they got too close, and that's going to be the thing, they got too close, and all of a sudden, people from the city, what do? It's like they descend. They start throwing stuff over, and Uriah dies, and the other side. So I don't know. Maybe they did retreat, and Uriah died right there, or maybe they did not, and Uriah still died, along with the others. Not sure. But anyway, just something to think about. The whole thing is, it's a sad scene regardless. My take is, should Joab have disobeyed that order? I think he should have, but
Right, but
Maybe,
then
but
he
he would have
probably
probably
would.
been killed too.
Yeah,
maybe,
Well, David would have whacked him, that you,
right.
maybe,
I have no doubt in my
Maybe.
military mind.
but at least I didn't kill an innocent man. Maybe I didn't
Not-
kill
not
other
for
innocent
lack
men.
of trying.
No, I'm saying from Joab's perspective, it's like now Joab's hand is in all this.
Mhm.
And it's like, you have just now played part in killing an innocent man and other innocent people who don't know anything about this. If you're Joab and
Well, that's the thing, he doesn't know.
he doesn't
said
know.
so
So
early.
what should you do? If you're a commander, and
You
you
follow orders. It's your king that
You ever
told you.
you ever see the movie? You ever see the movie Crimson Tide? You ever see that? Rick?
Yeah, I've seen it, but he ever served?
Huh?
An old jarhead, I'm telling you.
All right.
And he was a chain of command, and
I'm gonna make a
stuff rolls
point.
downhill. And so when you're at the bottom of it, yes, sir.
And
Because
so,
you said before, Joab didn't know the meaning or why.
so what do you do at that point?
You do what your commander told you to do.
If the commander tells you, you start killing innocent people, do you say aye aye?
No,
Or do you say, I think I need more information?
no, you don't. You can ask for that, but you only are required to obey a lawful order. Murder is not a lawful order.
This is
But-
murder.
Okay, no, you don't know that.
This literally, look over at chapter 12, verse 10. Right, chapter 12, verse 9. Why have you despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? You have killed Uriah the Hittite with a sword. It's like he murdered him. He used the people of Ammon to do it, but he did it. It's like he did it.
Fact. But when Joab gets this letter from the king,
Right.
then he doesn't know what went on the last
Right.
couple of days, what
Right.
Uriah did.
He doesn't know.
So he's gotta go, yes, sir.
He doesn't have to.
Well, and he's gonna just join Uriah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Exactly.
I have no doubt that.
Or he could send a message back to Jerusalem saying, what's happening? Please explain this to me. Because he's one of the mighty men.
David
The
is
movie, by the way,
king,
Crimson
he's not
Tide.
obligated to give a reason to his subordinate.
If you want me to obey an unlawful order, you better for sure give me a reason why. I'm not gonna kill an innocent man. It's like, we're out here laying siege to Rabbah and we're gonna start killing our own soldiers? That's what you want me to do? You want me to throw a battle? That's what they want Joab to do. Throw a battle. And it's like, really? You're not gonna question that order? In the movie Crimson Tide, there's a submarine and it's been given the message to fire nukes. Now they're at the bottom of the sea, and all of a sudden something happens and they get cut off from any further communication. And two of them have to agree to turn the key to launch the nukes. And the old rusty commander says, fire the nukes. And the situation was another message had started to come through and it had gotten cut off. And so the old commander said, we have to go with the first order, fire the nukes, do it. And the second in command says, we need more information. We need to find out what that second message was. And that's the whole kit and caboodle movie. And it's like, do you really want to, for Joab, and for Joab, what does he say? I'll kill him. And then when the messenger goes back, he says, now when David gets real mad at you and says, why'd all the soldiers die? Joab says, this is why. You ordered it, we obeyed it. And David's thing, this is what David says. Look down at verse 25, and feel free to paraphrase this and put it in your own words. Thus you shall say to Joab, do not let this thing displease you, for the sword devours one as well as another. What is David saying?
Yeah, life happens.
People die.
Yeah.
People die. You're right, people die. And who's about to die? The child's about to die. And the sword's never going to depart from David's house. And not only is, because that's prophetic, not only is David's son here die, guess who else is going to die? That business about, I'm going to raise up adversity from your own house.
Absalom.
Well, that's Absalom. And guess what happens to Absalom?
He gets caught with his hair.
He dies.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, the sword's never going to depart from his house because, well, he was a hard dog to keep on the torch. That's a quote about Bill Clinton, by the way. Because here David was, and he had a harem, and he's trying to hide his sin. That's all it's about. He's trying to hide his sin. And Joab says, aye, I'll do it. And it's that's a sad thing. There will come a time, by the way, where Joab disobeys an order. And that's the one we touched on. That's 1 Chronicles 21:6, when David says, count the people. And Joab says, and he counts them all, but not the Levites. He disobeys the order. He disobeys the order. So there's a time to obey, and you should obey authority. But at some point, you start dealing with, shall we listen to man or listen to God? Now, if man's laws don't contradict God's laws, what do? It's like, undoubtedly, soldiers have to do things that they don't want to do. But if it doesn't contradict, if it doesn't contradict God's laws, what do you say? Aye. But if it contradicts God's law, what do you say? I can't do that. It's like, I can't do that. I can't sin. That's the problem. I can't sin. Uriah, and here's the thing. So what should Uriah have done? Uriah's a soldier. He's a high up soldier. So now we're back to Bruce's point a little bit ago. What should Uriah have done when the king says, go on home to your wife? What should he have done? What do y'all think? Should he have gone? So is what he did honorable or dishonorable?
He thought he was being honorable. He was relating himself to the people that were still out there fighting.
So should he have gone home or should he have not gone home?
That's
Is what he did
individuals
honorable?
I don't see how we can pick out whether he should or shouldn't. That's an individual's judgment, and they talk to the Lord too, and maybe, I don't know. We can't say for sure, I don't think.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I was gonna say, I think he did the right thing, but maybe he should have told David right on the spot why he wasn't gonna go home.
I mean, he pretty much does. He's like, I should be out there.
Second day.
Yeah, but he,
You're talking about like the first day, like
Yeah.
when he just goes to like the doorway and sleeps with the servants and
gives
things
him
like
food,
that.
sent him
Go ahead,
on his
Brenda.
way.
In my notes, it talks about why Uriah probably wouldn't have done it, because it says sexual intercourse was a source of ritual impurity. And so it was avoided during a military campaign, as is mentioned in 1 Samuel 21:5. It was something unseemly, improper, rather than morally evil. So it, just like athletes,
Right.
they refrain as they're training and getting ready to do their event.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali spoke about that famously. You want to know about how long the Lord's memory is? Come up to Matthew. And you can see how long the Lord's memory is. In Matthew chapter 1. And by the way, Uriah did the honorable thing. He was doing his duty. And it's like that was his duty. It wasn't the time to go home. It's like David killed an innocent man. Matthew chapter 1 in the genealogy. Verse 5, Solomon begot Boaz by Rahab. Boaz begot Obed by Ruth. Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. David the king begot Solomon by her who had been the wife of Uriah. How long is the Lord's memory? Yeah, it's pretty long. And it's like, oh, we're going to bring that up here. We're going to bring that up here. It's like David took her to be his wife. And the way it's phrased is exactly like that. David the king begot Solomon by her who had been the wife of Uriah. It's like you've taken another man's wife. Uriah is honorable and he's doing the right thing. David is encouraging him to do the wrong thing, to be neglectful in his duty. David also, it says, made him drunk. And so you could add that to the list. And David's sin is on display. Well, for us, it's on display for us all to see as he's trying to hide everything. Uriah's innocence is also on display for us to see. And you can decide for yourself where Joab is. All I know is Uriah is dead at the end of the day. You know, I was thinking about getting to heaven, and we will be glad to be in heaven. But, and I won't be flippant about it. We will be comforted in heaven, and I'm thankful for that comfort, because without that comfort, there would be a lot of very awkward encounters in heaven. For example, Saul of Tarsus meeting Stephen. That would be a very awkward encounter in heaven without the Lord's comfort. Now here's my point. In heaven, David meeting Uriah without the Lord's comfort would be very unimaginable. And so that's why I say be thankful for the Lord's comfort, because without the Lord's comfort, heaven would be very awkward for a lot of situations, and this is just one of them. And so, Uriah's dead. The message gets sent back to David, and the messenger is told when he gets mad, and that's the thing, verse 20, if it happens when the king's wrath rises, and he says to you, and effectively, verse 20, and again, put this in your own words, if David gets mad and he says to you, why did you approach so near to the city when you fought? Did you not know that they would shoot from the wall? What is he saying? It's like if you get back and David gets real mad and questions how we've been fighting the battle. If he says, how could you have been so stupid to get near that wall? That's what Joab's saying. If he gets angry because we had to get so near the city when we fought, and that question, did you not know that they would shoot from the wall? It's like, of course they would shoot from the wall. You've laid siege to the city. What do you think they're going to do? If you lay siege, what are you supposed to do? How far away should you get from the walls of the city when you're laying the siege? Out of arrow range. It's like, that's what you do. And for this time, what do they not do? We get close. And he's like, when you go back, if David gets mad because we got so close, this is what you tell him. And Joab is laying the guilt on David. And he mentions, like, who struck Abimelech, the son of Jerubbesheth? Was it not a woman? It's like, so another honorable soldier, how did he die? It wasn't even with an arrow. A woman threw a millstone over the wall. And another honorable soldier died. And it's like, why did you go so near the wall? And then you shall say, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So the messenger comes and delivers the message. And David says what he says, the sword devours one as well as another. Strengthen your attack. It's sad because David is callous. And it's like, that's what it is, he's callous. It's like, people die. And it's, again, you know, when you think in the New Testament about people, different consciences, you know, when it describes different consciences different ways, and it's, you know, hard-hearted and things like that, but one of them is, it describes those who have a seared conscience. And it's just that picture of unfeeling. And here David is, and at this time, how would you describe it? It's like, he's unfeeling. It's like, people die. It's like, okay, now strengthen your attack against the city and overthrow it, and encourage him. And so that message went back to Joab. When the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. When her mourning was over, David sent and brought her to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. You don't say. Bathsheba mourned. She lost her husband. And that's the thing. The whole thing starts with what it starts with. And what is David, when they did the deed, what was David not thinking about?
Consequences.
Nobody ever thinks about consequences. It's like you never think about what's going to happen tomorrow, or a month from now, or 9 months from now. It's like, no, all I know is, pardon the phrase, I'm in the mood tonight. And it's like, and this is what happens. And it's just a sad thing. When Bathsheba laid with him, do you think Bathsheba ever thought, this is going to kill my husband? And it's like, and that's just the first one to fall. She never realized, she never thought. David never thought. It's like, no, he just thought, and that's the thing, we only have about a minute left. There's going to be a question, hold on a second, Michael, you might have to hang on to it. That's the thing about polygamy. In the parable, you're going to have the poor man, and what does the poor man have? He just has one little sheep. What does David have? He has a harem. Why does polygamy not make you content? Go ahead, Lois, say it louder.
You want more.
You want more. You have many, you want fresh. You have many, but you want more. You're greedy, you want more.
He's the king.
But if you'll be content with one, and that's the point, what does monogamy promote? Contentment. You're content with one. And that's the problem with polygamy. It's like you're not content with, and that's what the Lord says. It's like, I gave you your master's wives, but you weren't content with them, and so now Uriah is dead because of it. All right, we got to go ahead and stop there. We're actually a minute past. Sorry, Michael.
No, I was just gonna say, immediate gratification
Yeah.
is what we go for.
Yep. So I think we've pretty much already answered all of the questions. Pretty much. The last one was just, even as much as David tried to hide his sin, how many people kind of knew something wasn't right?
Quite a lot. All servants,
Yeah,
a lot.
on both Bathsheba and David's part.
Yeah. And it's like the servants, it's like something's,
And they talk.
yeah, servants have a tendency to talk.
Soldiers had to know too,
And
something
Yeah.
it's like,
crazy.
something's not right. Something stinks in Denmark. Bonus points if you can tell me where that quote's from.
Shakespeare,
Which one?
Hamlet.
Hamlet. Yeah. Something stinks in Denmark. Appreciate everyone's help and attention.